how I built a $5 million business with zero capital and why it gave me unfair authority. Most CEOs think authority comes from funding, big offices and impressive credentials. I used to think that too, until I was forced to build a business with absolutely nothing and discovered that constraints create the most powerful competitive advantage. After helping Fortune 500 companies and private equity-backed ventures generate over 1,000% ROI, 40 plus years, I've identified exactly why bootstrap businesses often outmaneuver their funded competitors. If you're tired of losing deals to competitors who shouldn't even be in your league, I created the Sales Authority Quick Win Guide with 12 immediately actionable strategies that stop profit leaks and build unfair competitive advantage. Get your free copy from the link below and discover how the same systematic frameworks that transformed a small uniform manufacturer can eliminate your competitive disadvantages within 30 days. Here's the story of how being broke forced me to discover what money can't buy and why it became my greatest business advantage when fake it till you make it meets reality. Picture this. You're sitting across from a prospect who just mentioned your competitor has 3 times your team size and venture backing from big name VC. Your immediate thought, well, this is not going well. That was me in 2008, facing down a Fortune 500 procurement team while my headquarters was literally my kitchen table. My competitor had just shown up with a team of 6, matching polo shirts and a presentation deck that probably cost more than my monthly rent. I had 2 choices: apologize for not being bigger or lean into what made me different. I chose different, and it changed everything. You know what's interesting about big teams? I said, pulling out a single sheet of paper. They're really good at creating processes for everything except the one thing that matters: understanding exactly what you need to win. That single sheet contained something their 6-person team and venture funding couldn't buy: a complete breakdown of their business problem that I'd spent weeks researching, because I literally couldn't afford to waste time on prospects who weren't perfect fits. They signed that afternoon. So let's walk through the framework. 4 pillars of authority that money can't buy. Pillar number 1, earned credibility versus borrowed credibility. The problem: funded competitors walk into rooms leading with investor logos, team size, and we raised X million. It's borrowed credibility. Impressive until someone asks what they've actually accomplished with all that money. Now, the advantage, bootstrap credibility, comes from results, not resources. When you've built something from nothing, every win is earned. Every client is proof of value, not venture capital. The action statement: stop apologize for your size and start showcasing your efficiency. When prospects see you've achieved X results with Y resources, they start wondering what you could do with their budget. Here's an example. I started leading with, here's what we accomplished for a similar client with 30% of what they were spending before, instead of, here's our team. Pillar 2, resource ingenuity versus resource abundancy. Now, the problem: money creates lazy solutions. When you can throw budget at problems, you stop asking what's the smartest way to solve this and start asking what's the fastest way to buy a solution. Now, your advantage: constraints force creative, efficient, scalable solutions. Every process you build has to work without additional resources, which means it has to work really well. As one client told me, your systems are so efficient, we started using them for departments you don't even work with. So here's an action statement for you. Document every workaround you created due to resource constraints. These aren't limitations, they're innovations your funded competitors haven't been forced to discover. Here's an implementation example. The customer research framework I developed because I couldn't afford market research firms became more comprehensive than anything my funded competitors were buying. Why? Because I had to understand customers completely or fail completely. The 3rd pillar: customer intimacy versus customer segmentation. The problem: big budgets enable broad targeting and generic messaging. You can afford to be pretty good for lots of people when you have the marketing spend to reach everyone. Your advantage is limited resources force deep customer understanding. You literally cannot afford to waste time on prospects who aren't perfect fits. So you become brilliant at identifying and serving exactly the right people. Here's your action statement. Turn your inability to serve everyone into your ability to serve someone perfectly. Deep specialization beats broad generalization every time. Here's an implementation example. While funded competitors were using demographic segments, I was mapping individual decision maker pain points because I had to convert every conversation. That intimacy became my unfair advantage. Pillar number 4, authentic positioning versus manufactured positioning. Now, here's the problem. Marketing budgets create artificial brand personas. You can hire agencies to craft messages that sound impressive, but don't necessarily reflect actual experience or capabilities. Your advantage, bootstrap positioning, comes from genuine problem solving. Your message is your experience. Your experience is your proof. Your proof is your credibility. So here's an action statement. Stop trying to sound like the big guys and start sounding like the expert who's actually solved this specific problem. People buy expertise. Authenticity is the one thing unlimited marketing budgets can't buy. Instead of speaking about leveraging synergistic solutions, I started saying, here's exactly how I solved this exact problem for 3 other companies like yours. Game over. The compound effect, why this authority builds over time. Here's where it gets interesting and slightly unfair. While funded competitors are burning through capital trying to buy market position, constraint-built authority compounds naturally. Here's a short-term impact. Prospects immediately recognize the difference between earned and borrowed credibility. Your efficiency becomes your differentiator. Clients start asking, how do you do so much with so little? Authentic positioning cuts through market noise in ways manufactured messaging never can. So here's your long-term advantage. Your constraint-driven innovations become systematic competitive advantages. Funded competitors can't replicate authentic experience by hiring more people or buying better tools. Every resource limitation you've overcome becomes a capability they'd need years to develop. The brutal irony. After years of building authority through constraints, you often end up with more sustainable competitive advantage than the well-funded competitors you once envied. So here's a reality check. The next time you're tempted to think you need more money to compete, remember, your constraints aren't weaknesses, they're unfair advantages waiting to be systematized. Your funded competitors are playing a game of resource accumulation. You're playing a game of resource optimization. Guess which one builds lasting competitive advantage? And honestly, guess which one makes you sleep better at night, knowing your success came from value creation, not investor patience? Do you want to stop losing deals to competitors who shouldn't even be in your league? Download the Sales Authority Quick Win Guide at davidwhiteconsulting.com and the Training Hub, and discover the 12 battle-tested strategies that eliminate profit leaks and build systematic competitive advantage within 30 days. Because the best time to build unfair authority was when you had no other choice. The second best time? It's right now.